Straight ahead on 12 News, could a Brooklyn Center school become a model for the rest of the state? What sets it apart and how it could receive more legislative support? Then, planning a spring break vacation?
Any piece of travel, there's going to be some extra cost.
Why you need to be aware of hidden travel costs. But first, taking you inside the caucuses and the vote that turned out differently than the rest of the country. 12 News starts right now. Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Minnesota did its own thing on Super Tuesday.
Minnesota caucus voters went with the underdogs. For the Republicans, Marco Rubio had 36% of the vote, with Minnesota his only state win. Ted Cruz finished second, followed by Donald Trump. Minnesota was Trump's only third-place finish so far. On the DFL side, it was all Bernie Sanders, winning by 23 percentage points. Nationally, Hillary Clinton scored major victories, especially across the South. Much of the focus this election season has been on Donald Trump's impact on the Republican race.
So why didn't things work out for him in Minnesota? Delane Cleveland has more from a GOP caucus site in Plymouth where nearly 2,400 people came out.
Wonderful. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
The draw of Super Tuesday.
Have you been to these before?
And the opportunity to choose their preferred candidate among the Republican presidential hopefuls.
We're glad you're here. What a great turnout. It's great to see you take an interest in our country and in our party.
Brought a record number of Plymouth residents to Central Middle School for caucus night.
It's a big turnout, and it's starting to fill up the cafeteria here.
Jim McLeish was the man leading the meeting at this caucus site.
We're going to basically do 4 things tonight.
Where party faithful and caucus novices came together.
I'm a newbie, so it took me a while to find where I was going and what precinct I'm in.
Linda McGraw wasn't the only first-time caucus goer.
This is precinct 4.
Yes.
Have you been to these before?
I have not, so.
It was a testament to the fact that in a crowded GOP field, voters wanted to make sure they had a say as to whom will represent them on the November ballot.
It's about we the people, and I'm hoping that I can help with my little vote.
The night, however, was about more than voting.
Some states have primaries, some states have caucuses. We are a caucus state by virtue of the laws of the state of Minnesota. If you don't like that, talk to your rep, get the law changed, and we'll do something else.
In addition to casting their presidential preference ballot, caucuses are also about conducting official party business.
We are also going to take time to elect delegates and alternates out of our precinct.
It was a process that played out over the entire state on a busy, politically charged evening.
We were told to expect a good turnout, and I think that's what we're seeing all around the country. People are very energized and interested in this race.
Earlier today, I spoke to the Minnesota political director for the Marco Rubio campaign. He told me that Senator Rubio was able to win Minnesota because of his appeal to young people in the suburban areas of the state. It also didn't hurt that Tim Pawlenty, Rick Santorum, and Marco Rubio himself came here to campaign in the days leading up to Super Tuesday. Mike?
All right, thank you, Delane. At a DFL caucus in Brooklyn Park, the turnout may not have surpassed that of 2008, but organizers say it came close with more than 2,000 votes cast. They were also happy with the number of people who stayed late to hear how they could help. With DFL supporters arriving early at Park Center High School to line up for caucuses.
So you're in East Wananoka's meeting in room 116.
Presidential preference balloting began as soon as voters found their way.
Presidential preference ballot is a secret ballot. That is to say, we're going to ask you to fold it up.
Those blue slips were collected by the hundreds in plastic cups or shopping bags.
Well, actually, I voted for Hillary, and I think that she's much better candidate than Bernie is. Bernie is not going to last.
But Minnesota Democrats may have bucked the national trend with a strong turnout for Bernie Sanders. New, young voters may have made the difference.
Especially when it comes to student loans and student debt. We're understanding college and accessibility. We're understanding what is it like to have job equity. Bernie Sanders talks heavily about youth unemployment, especially for youth of color, how it's significantly high.
Supporters on both sides are already thinking about what happens after a DFL nominee is chosen.
We are here to vote for Hillary, but if whoever becomes the nominee, we will go all the way. Democrat has to win.
And especially satisfying to party leaders is the number of supporters who stayed after the votes were cast.
I'm interested in seeing what happens as we who's going to be our delegate at the state and district convention. You've got to really understand that it starts here at the grassroots and grows from here.
Democrats were told the election won't be easy, but it's a challenge they have to be ready for.
That work starts here tonight and will continue over the next 8 months.
Several DFL voters we talked to said they would prefer voting in a primary system instead because they say the night caucus meetings are difficult for working families. In education news, some students in Brooklyn Center don't have to leave school to get their eyes checked or have breakfast.
Right now, only Brooklyn Center and Duluth have schools that are one-stop shops providing academic, social, and medical support. Eric Nelson found out it could be a model that's adopted by other schools.
I think that the needs of our students are not getting any easier to tend to. In fact, I think they're becoming more complicated.
From the outside, Brooklyn Center looks like your typical high school.
We have a number of free and low-cost services here. They're available for any student living or going to school in Brooklyn Center who's 0 to 19 years old.
But on the inside, there is much more than classrooms and lockers.
So this is our dental room. We have children's dental services that comes in, and they provide services twice a month. Low-cost services for students going to school here.
Brooklyn Center also has daycare, dental, medical, and nutritional options for students on campus, all under the same roof.
Our kids need additional resources. We no longer just teach English or science or social studies. We teach kids and everything that comes along with kids.
This is the template for being a full-service community school. It also eases the burden on low-income students who deal with hunger, unemployment, and other issues.
They grow up with trauma, generational poverty, homelessness, things that are happening that are completely out of their control, but also their family's control.
In Brooklyn Center, I'm Eric Nelson, Channel 12 News.
Brooklyn Center Principal Carly Jarvis says to continue funding this program, it needs government grants and partnerships with community groups. Semifinalists for Minnesota Teacher of the Year include 3 teachers from the Northwest Metro: Monroe Elementary 5th grade teacher Nathan Elliott, North Education Center teacher Pamela Beatty, and Edenbrook Elementary 5th grade teacher Kristen Pengra Anderson. They are among 34 finalists, and the winner will be announced May 15th.
The teachers at Evergreen Park School got some extra help in the classroom today.
Let my parents go, or I will. Or you'll what, said the green beans. Look, do you think the green beans are scared of Martha?
No.
That's 12 News reporter Sonia Goins reading to Mrs. Belk's 1st grade classroom. She was one of about 150 volunteer readers as the school hosted Read Across America Day. Other volunteers included Hennepin County Commissioner Mike Opat and Sheriff Rich Stanek. Well, if you plan to travel this spring, why you need to be aware of hidden costs.
That's up next in Money Savers. And then later in sports, the Wayzata boys hockey team gets set for the state tournament. We'll hear from the Trojans.
But first, no warm-up yet, but it's looking nice for the weekend. Food shelves across the state are kicking off Minnesota FoodShare Month. Interfaith Outreach and Community Partners in Plymouth hopes to raise $125,000 and 100 pounds of food during March. Besides helping with food, IOCP also helps families with services to prevent hunger on a long-term basis.
Case managers do a great job working with our families to meet the immediate crisis, to stabilize them, but then to work with families longer term on a plan to strengthen them so that they're all thriving in our community.
Actually, they hope to raise 100,000 pounds of food, and several food shelves also have incentives for getting donations this month. At IOCP, the Mosaic Company is matching the first 20,000 pounds of food donated with $20,000. Several travel agencies are reporting travel is up this year for spring break.
If you are setting your budget for an upcoming trip, today in Money Savers, we talk about how to keep hidden costs in mind.
I save money on other things so that I have money for travel and the things that are important to me.
Heather Shuey writes about her money-saving adventures on simplysavemn.com.
I like traveling, but also it's a necessity for me.
She travels for fun and to see her family.
I also look at multiple airports. So I found that when I go to Pennsylvania to visit family, it costs less to go to an airport that's a little further away and rent a car.
Heather says the airport is when unexpected travel costs begin to creep up, starting with getting to the airport.
I found that off-site parking is cheapest, and then I search online for promo codes. So like Park and Ride or Park and Fly, if you just do a Google search, you can usually get a discount. If you're in the military, some of them have military discounts.
Then there's cost in baggage in how and what you pack. Instead of buying travel-sized toiletry products, fill your own bottles.
A couple dollars at the most for this, and then way cheaper than buying a bunch of travel products every time you go.
Fees are standard for checking a bag and often for carry-ons too.
It's kind of all the same theme. You need to be aware.
AAA VP of Travel and Retail Linda Snyder says be aware of small fees that could creep up on your trip.
If you're doing flights in Europe, for instance, they're very different, and they do have a lot of extra charges. A lot of hotels will charge resort fees, and they're not optional.
She says people often come in talking about a great deal on a vacation only to discover what wasn't included in an advertisement.
If you see these very, very low fares, chances are that's not the bottom line of what you're going to pay.
She says an agent should make you aware of any extra charges, and if you don't have an agent, look through the fine print.
Any piece of travel, there's going to be some extra cost, and you just need to be aware up front so you know what you're getting into.
Another hidden cost you might not consider is parking at your hotel if you plan to rent a car at your destination. Parking fees there can add up. Coming up, we'll take you inside a new theater at North Hennepin Community College.
And then in sports, Breck opens play in the state boys hockey tournament. John Jacobson has the highlights next.
The puck dropped Wednesday morning at the 72nd Annual State Hockey Tournament. The Class A quarterfinals featured the Breck Mustangs out of Section 2A facing off with Mankato West. First game of the day. First period, Breck on the power play. First shot is stopped, but Austin Heidemann slides the rebound in, and Breck is up 1-0. William Blake's pass in close is deflected, and Chase Ellingson pops it under the crossbar for another power play goal. Les Larson's team is up 2-0 after one. Good puck movement on the power play here for the Mustangs. Blake redirects it for another power play tally to make it 3-0. Ellingson slings the backhand pass out to Blake, who turns and scores. He scores 3 straight for a pure hat trick. Breck wins easily 8-0. The Mustangs play Thief River Falls in the Class A semifinals Friday morning at 11. The Class AA State Boys Hockey Tournament starts Thursday in St. Paul, and the Wayzata Trojans will face Burnsville in the quarterfinals. The Trojans are the number 3 seed after winning Section 6 AA, and they'll match up against the Blaze for a second time this season. Wayzata beat Burnsville 5-2 in late December, but the Trojans don't expect that to have much of an impact on their upcoming game.
We talked about that really like a couple days ago. Pat brought it up and said that that game really has no bearing on this game now. Then again, it's a state tournament. Everything's different. Anybody can win any game. And also, the way both teams are playing right now, we've been hot lately. Burnsville's been really hot lately. They got a kid that's got 9 goals in section tournament play. So, like, really, that last game has no bearing on this week's game.
Both teams are completely different from that time of the year. I mean, which is obviously what both coaches are hoping for. But you know, I think the only thing that you can draw from something like that is maybe just a little bit of confidence that you know you can win. But at the same time, they're completely 2 different teams. They've won 8 in a row. So, I mean, we're just excited to you know have a game plan ready for them, and hopefully our boys will execute it.
The puck drops at approximately 1 o'clock on Thursday for the Wayzata Burnsville tilt. The Trojans last went to the state tournament in 2013, advancing to the semifinals. Spots in the state boys basketball tournament are up for grabs this week. Maple Grove will play for a section championship Thursday. The Crimson meet Elk River for the Section 8 4A title. It's the first time in a section final for any of the current Maple Grove players. The coaches like how the team is performing in the postseason.
I thought we played well. Ran into a really tough Rogers team that shot the ball really well. I was really proud of our role guys stepping up late in that game and making big plays. I really like where we're at right now and how we're playing as a unit and as a team.
Maple Grove beat Elk River, seen here in the white jerseys, against Champlin Park very early in the season, and they know what to expect from the Elks.
They're a very disciplined team, especially on the offensive end. They run their sets extremely well, probably one of the best teams in the state at executing their offense and knowing what to look for out of that. And it wasn't that close of a game last time, but they're a much different team now. We still had Taiwan, and we're a much different team now, so it'll be a good matchup.
The Elks and Crimson tip off at 7 o'clock Thursday at St. Michael Albertville High School. State High School League media policy rules won't allow us to televise the game live. You can, however, watch it on Channel 12 and 12.tv Friday night at 10 and again Saturday at 4 p.m. Section tournament play in girls basketball gets underway tonight in several sections. Here's a look at the seedings in the 3 Class 4A sections with local teams. Park Center is the #1 seed in Section 5 4A. Rhodesville is second. Then it's Champlin Park, Osseo, and Centennial rounding out the top 5 seeds. The quarterfinals are tonight. Park Center hosts Spring Lake Park. Osseo is home to play Centennial. Champlin Park hosts Mounds View. The semifinals at Saturday. And then the section final March 10th at Anoka. Defending state champion Hopkins is the #1 seed in Section 6 4A. Wayzata is second, Armstrong third, and Cooper fourth. The quarterfinals are Thursday night. Hopkins, Cooper, Armstrong, and Wayzata all host games. The semifinals are Saturday at Osseo High School with the section final Tuesday the 8th, also at Osseo. Maple Grove is in Section 8 4A this year. The Crimson, the #3 seed behind St. Michael, Albertville, and Elk River. Rogers is fourth. The quarterfinals are tonight, Wednesday, with Moorhead at Rogers and Maple Grove at home to play Buffalo. Semifinals in this section are Saturday, and the section final March 10th at a neutral site. And that's a look at sports for today.
All right, you got through it.
Yes, I did.
All right, we'll be right back.
Finally, a new production in a new theater.
The Black Box Theater opens on the North Hennepin campus. Previously a nursing lab, it's the college's second theater, providing an intimate experience with just 99 seats. The theater's inaugural play is based on true stories of the immigrant experience. Chi Min Vang portrays his grandfather's immigration story from Thailand.
Hearing stories of different immigration stories, it's definitely eye-opening. Like, oh wow, that's crazy, you know. So I hope that they take immigration a little more serious after seeing this.
What we did is we adapted all of those stories into a piece of theater that is that talks about the immigrant experience. It's not the immigrant experience itself, but it's a piece of theater, a piece of art about the experience.
An immigrant journey at the Black Box Theater runs through Sunday. Very creative there. Good job, guys.
Very interesting.
That's all the time we have for now. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
And we will see you back here again tomorrow, starting at 4 o'clock.